The moment she walked in, she didn't look like someone coming to court. She looked like someone coming to collect a debt, chin high, lips curled, papers clutched like a weapon dot, and then she did the one thing every courtroom regular knows never to do. She looked straight at Judge Judy and said, "Loud enough for the microphones? Can we hurry this up? I don't have all day to educate people who don't understand basic rules." The gallery went still. Even the bailiff's posture changed. Judge Judy didn't react right away. She just stared at her, calm, unreadable, almost bored. The kind of calm that makes arrogant people think they're safe. They aren't. "Good afternoon," Judge Judy said, flipping open the file. "Your name is Celeste Whitmore? You're the plaintiff?" Celeste tossed her hair like it mattered. "HOA President, yes." Across from her stood the defendant, Evan Park, early 30s, plain button-down, tired eyes. He kept glancing at the floor like he'd rather be anywhere else on earth than in front of cameras. Next to him was a slim woman in a wheelchair, his mother. Mrs. Park, hands folded, quiet, watching everything with a dignity Celeste clearly didn't deserve. Judge Judy looked between them. "Ms. Whitmore, you're suing Mr. Park for $15,000? Celeste nodded like she was approving a budget. "Correct. He built an unauthorized structure that violates HOA guidelines and harmed neighborhood property values." Judge Judy's eyebrow lifted. "Unauthorized structure?" Celeste pointed without even looking. "That ramp. That ugly crooked ramp attached to the front steps. It looks like a construction site. This is a gated community. We have standards." Mrs. Park's jaw tightened. Evan's hand moved subtly to rest on his mother's shoulder. Judge Judy didn't look at the ramp photos yet. She looked at Celeste. "You're suing him because he built a wheelchair ramp for his mother?" Celeste made a sound, half laugh, half scoff. "Don't do that. Don't turn it into some emotional thing. We offered solutions." Judge Judy's voice stayed even. "What solutions?" Celeste shifted, then brightened with the confidence of someone used to talking over people. He could have applied for architectural review like everyone else. Or moved. Or used the back door. "We have rear access." Evan finally spoke, quietly. "The back door has 3 steps. My mom can't." Celeste snapped her head toward him. "Stop. You always do this. You make it sound dramatic." Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Whitmore, you'll stop talking to him like that?" Celeste turned back to the bench, smiling tightly. "I'm just saying, he's using his mother to get sympathy and break rules. And it's working. Look at you." The room inhaled. Judge Judy leaned back slightly. "Look at me." Celeste pointed with her pen. "You're already framing it like I'm the villain." "I'm not. I'm protecting the community. If you understood even basic HOA governance, you'd know why these rules exist." Judge Judy slowly removed her glasses. Not dramatically. Not for show. Like she needed her eyes completely unobstructed to watch Celeste ruin herself in real time. "Are you calling me ignorant?" Judge Judy asked. Celeste shrugged, almost cheerful. "I'm calling you not informed. There's a difference." The bailiff's eyes flicked to the side like he didn't want to be caught reacting on camera. Evan looked like he wanted to disappear. Judge Judy nodded once, as if accepting a challenge. "All right. Educate me." Celeste's face lit up. She mistook the invitation for victory. "For starters," Celeste said, lifting a thick binder, "the CC and RS clearly state no exterior modifications without approval." He did it anyway. Then he ignored violations. Then he refused fines. Now he wants to play victim. Judge Judy held up a hand. "Show me the clause." Celeste flipped pages quickly. Too quickly. "It's in here." "Where?" Celeste's smile twitched. "It's under architectural standards." Judge Judy's voice sharpened. "No, where?" Celeste's cheeks flushed. "I don't have to memorize it. The HOO has authority." Judge Judy leaned forward. "You're suing someone for $15,000 and you can't point to the rule he violated." Celeste's tone went nasty. "Your Honor, with respect, you're being difficult." "With respect." Judge Judy repeated. "That's new." Celeste lifted her chin. "It's obvious." Any competent judge would see it's obvious. A murmur ran through the gallery. Mrs. Park's eyes widened. Slightly, she'd understood that insult perfectly. Judge Judy didn't raise her voice. That was the part that made it worse. You know what I find obvious? Judge Judy said. When someone comes into court with a big number and a bigger attitude, but no evidence that matches. Celeste slapped the binder lightly. I have evidence, pictures, estimates, complaints from neighbors. Judge Judy nodded. Good. We'll look at all of it. But first, answer my question. Did Mr. Park apply for approval? Celeste brightened, happy to say yes. No, he didn't. Evan's attorney, Ms. Ramirez, stood. Your Honor, Judge Judy raised a finger. One moment. I want Ms. Whitmore to keep talking. Celeste didn't even notice the trap. Judge Judy continued. Did he ever submit anything? Any request? Any email? Any application? Celeste's eyes flicked away for a fraction of a second. No, Evan's attorney spoke. Your Honor, that's false. Celeste snapped. It is not false. Judge Judy's gaze went to Ms. Ramirez. Show me. Ms. Ramirez handed a printed email thread to the bailiff, who delivered it to the bench. Judge Judy scanned it. Her expression didn't change, but the air did. Ms. Whitmore, Judge Judy said, tapping the paper. This is an email from Mr. Park to the HOA dated March 3rd. Subject, ramp request medical urgency. He attached photos, measurements, and a doctor's note. He asked for expedited approval. Celeste's mouth opened, then closed. Judge Judy flipped the page. And here is the HOA response. From you, you wrote, denied. Not our problem. Use rear entrance. Evan swallowed hard. His mother stared at Celeste with a quiet hurt that didn't need words. Celeste's voice came out sharp. Because he didn't follow procedure? Judge Judy looked up. He begged for expedited approval and included a doctor's note. You denied it in one sentence? Celeste's cheeks burned. Because rules, Judge Judy cut in. Rules have exceptions, especially when the law is involved. Celeste snapped. This isn't about law. This is about aesthetic consistency. Mrs. Park's voice was soft but clear. I fell on those steps. Silenced. Evan turned to his mother. Startled she hadn't spoken until now. Mrs. Park looked at Judge Judy. 2 days after she denied it, I tried the steps again. I fell. My son built the ramp after the hospital. He didn't do it to disrespect anyone. Celeste scoffed like she couldn't stand the sympathy in the room. I'm sorry she fell, but that doesn't give him permission to vandalize the front of the house. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. Vandalize? Celeste leaned forward. Yes, and honestly, if she's that fragile, maybe she shouldn't be living there. The gallery reacted, an audible, shocked breath. Evan's face went red with anger, but he held it in. His mother closed her eyes for a second, like she'd heard versions of that sentence before. Judge Judy stared at Celeste for a long moment. Miss Whitmore, Judge Judy said quietly, you're not just unkind. You're reckless. Celeste rolled her eyes. Here we go. Judge Judy picked up another folder from her bench, one that hadn't been visible until now. Thicker, older, tabs sticking out. Celeste's posture changed instantly. Her shoulders tightened. Her hands stopped moving. For the first time, her face looked unsure. Judge Judy didn't open it yet. She simply rested her hand on it like a warning. You said something a moment ago, Judge Judy said. That this isn't about law. Celeste swallowed. It's not. Judge Judy nodded. Then you won't mind when I ask about something that is. Celeste's eyes widened. What? Judge Judy opened the folder slowly, deliberately, page by page. Like she was letting the suspense do the talking. Miss Whitmore, Judge Judy said. Do you recognize the name? Whitmore Property Solutions, LLC. Celeste's face went pale so fast it looked like the blood drained out of her on camera. Evan blinked, confused. What is that? Judge Judy looked up. That, Mr. Park, is what we're about to find out. And in the silence that followed, Celeste, who had walked in acting untouchable, sat perfectly still, staring at the folder like it could ruin her life. Asterisk. Celeste tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out wrong, thin, shaky. Fake. I have no idea what you're talking about, she said. Too quickly, Judge Judy didn't respond to the denial. She responded to the fear underneath it. You're the HOA President, Judge Judy said. And you're suing a homeowner for an unauthorized structure. Meanwhile, an LLC linked to your name appears in multiple vendor records for your HOA. Celeste's attorney, who had been silent until now, shifted in his seat, like he wanted to become invisible. Evan looked at Ms. Ramirez. Confused, Ms. Ramirez's expression said one thing clearly. Just wait. Judge Judy lifted a document. These are vendor invoices submitted to Maple Grove Estates, HOA. Celeste tried to interrupt. That's confidential, Judge Judy snapped. No, it's not. Not when it's relevant to a dispute involving fines, enforcement, and money. She read aloud. Landscaping, compliance cleanup, pressure washing, violation correction, exterior repaint, enforcement action. Total billed, $28,600. Over 12 months? Celeste's face stiffened. So, Judge Judy looked over her glasses. Vendor, Whitmer Property Solutions, LLC. The gallery murmured. Evan's eyes widened. Celeste's voice cracked. That's a coincidence. The name Whitmore is common. Judge Judy didn't blink. Common enough that the LLC address matches your home address on file with the HOA. Celeste's mouth opened, then shut. Her attorney finally leaned in and whispered, "Stop." Celeste ignored him. I'm allowed to own a business? Judge Judy nodded. Yes, you're also not allowed to profit from your HOA position without disclosure. Especially not by steering HOA work to your own company. Celeste raised her chin again, trying to rebuild her armor. We use vendors. My company just coordinated. Judge Judy slid another paper forward. Then explain why your LLC marked up subcontractor invoices by 300%. Celeste blinked rapidly. I don't know what those numbers mean. Judge Judy's tone sharpened. You don't know what money means? Evan whispered, Oh my God. Mrs. Park's hands tightened in her lap. Her son's ramp wasn't just being attacked, this was starting to look like a shakedown operation. Judge Judy set the vendor papers down and tapped Evan's case file. Now let's return to your claim. You find Mr. Park repeatedly. You claim the ramp lowered property values. You want $15,000? Celeste nodded quickly, grateful to move away from the LLC. Yes, because it's ugly and unsafe. Judge Judy leaned forward. Unsafe? Did you have it inspected? Celeste hesitated. We don't have to. It violates standards? Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. Did you have it inspected? Celeste snapped. No. Judge Judy nodded. Mr. Park did. Ms. Ramirez stood and handed over a stamped inspection report. City inspection and permit approval, Your Honor. The ramp meets 80 slope guidelines. It passed safety inspection. Celeste's lips parted in disbelief. ADA doesn't apply to private HOAs. Judge Judy cut in. The Fair Housing Act does. And so do reasonable accommodations. Celeste tried to recover. He didn't request it properly. Judge Judy raised the email from part 1. He did. You denied it. Celeste's voice rose. Because he's not special? Mrs. Park's voice was quiet. I'm not asking to be special. I'm asking not to fall. The emotional weight of that sentence hit harder than any legal argument. For a second, even Celeste looked like she might feel something until her face hardened again. Judge Judy turned to Celeste. You told her she shouldn't live there. Do you have any idea what that sounds like in a court record? Celeste snapped. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Judge Judy's stare was ice. Not when your opinion becomes discriminatory enforcement. Then Judge Judy lifted another exhibit. A photo. Miss Whitmore, she said. Is this your house? Celeste squinted. Yes. Judge Judy held up the picture so the courtroom could see it. A sleek pergola, oversized, freshly stained. Mounted lighting. Decorative stonework. It looked expensive. Judge Judy asked, Did you apply for architectural approval for this structure? Celeste blinked. Yes, Judge Judy nodded once. Show me. Celeste looked to her attorney. He didn't move. I don't have that paperwork, Celeste said. Judge Judy's voice dropped. But you're here with a binder about someone else's paperwork? Celeste's cheeks reddened. I'm not the one on trial. Judge Judy leaned forward. Everyone who lies in my courtroom is on trial. Then she turned to Ms. Ramirez. Do we have the HOA architectural logs? Ms. Ramirez handed over a thick packet. Yes, Your Honor, requested through discovery. Judge Judy flipped through, then paused. Interesting. Celeste stiffened. Judge Judy read aloud. Application, pergola and patio expansion. Applicant, Celeste Whitmore. Status, approved same day, no committee review. No neighbor notice. No vote, just approved. Celeste's voice went sharp, because it met standards. Judge Judy looked up, and a wheelchair ramp for a disabled resident didn't. Celeste tried to speak, couldn't. Judge Judy didn't stop. Mr. Park's request sat for weeks. Denied in one sentence. You then fined him for building what you refused to consider. Celeste's voice cracked. Because he's trying to make me look bad. Judge Judy's response was immediate. You did that yourself. Ms. Ramirez stepped forward. Your Honor, there's also a recording. Celeste's head snapped up. What recording? Ms. Ramirez held up a phone. A voicemail Ms. Whitmore left on Mr. Park's phone after he asked for a hearing. Celeste stood up, panicked. That's private. Judge Judy's voice was sharp. Sit down. Celeste froze, then sat hard. Judge Judy nodded to Ms. Ramirez. Play it. The courtroom held its breath as the audio loaded, the speaker crackling, and then Celeste's voice filled the room low. Smug and clear as day. Here's how this works. Evan, you pay for the compliance cleanup through our vendor, or we keep fining you until you can't afford the house. The gallery erupted in shocked murmurs. Evan's face went white. Mrs. Park squeezed her son's hand. Judge Judy stopped the audio and stared straight at Celeste. That, Judge Judy said quietly, is not HOA governance. Celeste whispered. I didn't mean. Judge Judy leaned forward. That is coercion. Celeste's attorney finally stood. Your Honor, Judge Judy cut him off. Sit, I'm not finished. She looked at Celeste. You threatened to fine him until he couldn't afford his home. Then you funneled compliance cleanup through your own LLC. That's what you call a racket. Where it come from? Celeste's eyes glossed over with tears, but her jaw stayed clenched. Pride fighting to survive. Judge Judy picked up the thick folder again and tapped it once. And now we're going to discuss something you didn't expect me to have. Celeste's voice trembled. What else is there? Judge Judy opened to a tab labeled Election. Ms. Whitmore, Judge Judy said, do you know why your previous HOA refused to sign the annual financial statement? Celeste's face fell. No. Judge Judy nodded toward the door. Then you should meet her. And at that exact moment, the bailiff opened the courtroom door and escorted in an older woman holding a folder to her chest like it was the only thing keeping her steady. She looked directly at Celeste, and Celeste looked back like she'd just seen a ghost. Asterisk. The woman walked with purpose, but her hands shook. Not from age, fear that had been sitting in her body for too long. She took the witness seat, adjusted the microphone, and kept her eyes on Judge Judy, not Celeste. Like she knew Celeste's stare could still do damage if she let it, Judge Judy spoke first. State your name. Diane Messer, the woman said. Former HOA treasurer. Celeste let out a weak laugh. Oh, please. Diane's bitter because she got voted out. Judge Judy didn't even look at Celeste. Ms. Messer, were you voted out? Diane swallowed. No, ma'am. I resigned. Why? Diane's eyes flicked to Celeste for half a second, then away. Because I wouldn't sign off on the finances. And because when I asked questions, I was threatened. The courtroom went silent. Evan stared at Diane, like he was realizing his nightmare wasn't personal. It was systemic. Judge Judy's voice stayed calm. Threaten how? Diane opened her folder and pulled out printed emails. She told me if I didn't get on board, she'd file violations against my home. She said she'd make my life difficult. Celeste snapped. That's not what I said. Judge Judy raised a hand. Ms. Whitmore, you've talked enough today. Diane continued. Then she called my employer. I don't know what she said, but 2 days later, my manager pulled me aside and asked if I was involved in financial misconduct. Gasps. In the gallery, Evan's attorney leaned forward. Slightly, this was bigger than a ramp. Now, Judge Judy looked at Diane. Do you have proof she contacted your employer? Diane nodded and handed over a phone record printout. My company provided call logs. Her number called the main office. Celeste's face tightened. That proves nothing. Judge Judy finally looked at Celeste, her expression sharp. It proves you're the common denominator in everyone's problems. Asterisk. Celeste's attorney rose again, voice strained. Your Honor, my client denies, Judge Judy snapped. Sit down. You're not helping. Judge Judy turned back to Diane. You mentioned an election. Diane nodded. Yes, a HOA board election. The one where Celeste became president. Celeste rolled her eyes. I won fair and square. Judge Judy's voice was flat. Ms. Messer, what happened with the election? Diane took a breath. Ballots were supposed to be counted by 2 board members and me as treasurer. The night of the count, Celeste said she'd take the ballots to secure them. She wouldn't let me see them until the next morning. Celeste scoffed. Because you were late. Asterisk. Diane's eyes flashed. I was not late. You locked me out of the clubhouse. The gallery murmured again. Judge Judy asked, and when you saw them the next morning? Diane's voice dropped. There were more ballots than sign-ins. Celeste snapped. That's a lie. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. How many more? Diane flipped to a chart. 37. Evan whispered, 37. Judge Judy asked, do you have that documented? Diane handed over meeting minutes and sign-in sheets. Yes, I wrote it down. I demanded an audit. Judge Judy scanned it, then looked up slowly. And that's when you refused to sign the annual financial statement. Asterisk. Diane nodded. Because the money didn't match the invoices. And invoices kept appearing for compliance cleanup from Whitmore Property Solutions. Celeste's face went tight. Her eyes were glossy now, not from remorse-panic. Judge Judy looked at Celeste. So your own treasurer raised concerns about your vendor invoices. Celeste tried to smile. Diane's confused. She's old. She doesn't understand how management contracts work. Diane snapped, voice rising for the first time. Don't you dare. Judge Judy held up a hand to Diane gently. It's all right. Then Judge Judy turned back to Celeste. Call your treasurer old again and I'll hold you in contempt. Celeste froze. Judge Judy leaned forward. Ms. Whitmore, you came into my courtroom thinking you could bully your neighbor, intimidate witnesses, and insult me. Celeste whispered, I didn't insult you. Judge Judy's eyes sharpened. Yes, you did. And your attitude tells me something. You're used to winning by exhausting people. You overwhelm them. You fine them. You threaten them. You make compliance expensive and resistance painful. Evan's mother spoke softly. That's exactly what she did. Judge Judy nodded once, then looked at Evan. Mr. Park, how much have you paid in HOA fines over this ramp? Evan swallowed. So far, $3,480. The gallery made an angry sound. Judge Judy's jaw tightened. And those fines were issued under what violation code? Evan looked at his papers. Code 7.4, exterior alteration without approval. Judge Judy turned to Celeste. But you denied his approval request. Celeste's voice was thin, because it wasn't complete. Judge Judy held up Evan's email again. It was complete enough for you to deny in one sentence? Then Judge Judy flipped to another page and paused. Long pause, the kind of pause that makes people's stomachs drop. Judge Judy looked up at Celeste. Did you personally submit the complaint that initiated the first violation notice? Celeste blinked. No, neighbors complained. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. Which neighbors? Celeste's lips tightened. Multiple. Judge Judy tapped the page. Because the complaint form was submitted from an email address that belongs to you. Celeste's face went pale again. That's impossible. Judge Judy held it up for the camera. The metadata shows the sender, CW Hitmore at Maple Grove, your HOA email. Celeste stammered. Someone hacked. Judge Judy cut her off. No. Celeste's attorney finally stood, voice frantic. Your Honor, we object to, Judge Judy snapped. On what grounds? Reality? Evan's eyes widened in stunned disbelief. She filed the complaint against me? As if it was a neighbor? Diane nodded slowly. She did it to me too. Mrs. Park's voice trembled. Why would you do that? Celeste's eyes flooded now, but her voice stayed sharp. Because you people don't respect rules. Judge Judy leaned forward, voice low. No, because you respect control. Then Judge Judy turned to Ms. Ramirez. You said you have more messages. Ms. Ramirez nodded. Yes, Your Honor. After Mr. Park refused to pay the vendor, Ms. Whitmore sent a group email to residents. She handed over a printout. Judge Judy read aloud. Be advised. Unit 14 has become a safety concern. Unapproved construction attracts liability. Please avoid confrontation and report any suspicious behavior. Evan's face tightened. She made me sound dangerous. Mrs. Park's eyes glistened. My neighbors stopped saying hello. Judge Judy's tone sharpened. Ms. Whitmore, you implied he was a safety concern because he built a disability ramp. Celeste whispered. I didn't mean. Judge Judy cut her off. You did. Judge Judy sat back, hands folded. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. Celeste stared, terrified. I'm thinking your $15,000 lawsuit is not about a ramp. Judge Judy said. It's about leverage. It's about forcing people to pay vendors you control. It's about power. Celeste shook her head, sobbing. No. Judge Judy's eyes stayed hard. Yes. Then Judge Judy looked at Diane. Ms. Messer, did you ever report your concerns to anyone outside the HOA? Diane nodded. I did. I went to the state HOA ombudsman. Judge Judy's eyebrow lifted. And Diane handed over a letter. They opened an inquiry, and they requested financial records. Judge Judy scanned it. Then she looked up slowly, like she was about to drop something heavy. Ms. Whitmore, Judge Judy said. You didn't mention that your HOA is currently under inquiry. Celeste's voice was barely there. I didn't have to. Judge Judy leaned in. When you walk into court and ask for money based on your authority, yes, you do. Celeste started shaking. Judge Judy turned to the bailiff. Bring me Exhibit 12. The bailiff stepped forward with a sealed envelope. Celeste's eyes locked onto it, terror spreading across her face. Judge Judy held the envelope up. This was submitted this morning by the HOA's management company. Celeste whispered, no. Judge Judy's voice was quiet and deadly. Ms. Whitmore, do you want to explain why the management company terminated your contract last week for suspected misappropriation of HOA funds? Celeste's sob caught in her throat. Judge Judy began to open the envelope, and the courtroom leaned forward. Because everyone could feel it, the next page was going to change everything. Asterisk Judge Judy slid the document out of the envelope like it was fragile, but her eyes were steel. She read silently for a moment. Then she looked up. Celeste was crying now, real tears, messy, uncontrolled, but even then she tried to speak like she still had power. This is a witch hunt, she said. They don't like strong women. Judge Judy stared at her. Stop. One word. Sharp. Final. Celeste froze. Judge Judy held up the termination letter. Maple Grove Management terminated services because of irregular payments made without board approval. Payments routed to Whitmore Property Solutions, LLC. Payments labeled Emergency Compliance. She flipped the page. And then we have this. Judge Judy's gaze moved over the next document. A ledger of reimbursements to you? Personal reimbursements? Celeste shook her head. Those were for supplies. Judge Judy read aloud. $642 to Spa Wellness, $1,180 to Resort Deposit, $390 to Luxury Floral. Those are not supplies. The gallery made an angry sound. Someone whispered. Wow, Evan's hands clenched. That's our money? Diane nodded. HOA dues? Everyone's. Judge Judy looked at Celeste. You stole from your neighbors. Celeste's voice rose hysterically. I didn't steal. I worked hard. Do you know how much time I put into this community? Judge Judy leaned forward. Volunteer time does not entitle you to take cash. Celeste sobbed, wiping her face. I was going to pay it back. Judge Judy's response was immediate. When? Celeste hesitated. Judge Judy waited. When? Celeste whispered. After I got through some things. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. You mean after you got caught? Celeste's face collapsed. Then she tried one last pivot, the desperate kind. This is all irrelevant, she cried. This is supposed to be about his ramp. He still violated rules. Judge Judy nodded slowly. All right, let's make it about the ramp. You denied a reasonable accommodation request. You fined him thousands. You attempted to force him into compliance cleanup through a vendor tied to you. You then sued him for $15,000, claiming property value damage. She paused. That is not enforcement. That is exploitation. Celeste's hope died instantly. Judge Judy turned to Evan. Mr. Park, what did you ask for in your accommodation request? Evan swallowed. An expedited hearing and permission to build the ramp within the month. My mom's doctor said she couldn't use stairs. Judge Judy nodded. And you offered to match community aesthetics? Yes, Evan said quickly. We offered to stain it, add side rails, whatever. We asked for guidance. We got denied. Not our problem. Judge Judy looked at Celeste. Not our problem? Celeste whispered, It's not. Judge Judy cut in. It is, because you are the HOA. Diane spoke again, voice steadier now. She didn't just deny him. She bragged. Celeste snapped. No, I didn't. Diane opened her folder again. Yes, you texted me. You said, if I let him do it, everyone will think they can do whatever. He'll cave once the fines start. Evan's eyes widened. You plan to make me cave. Celeste cried harder. I was trying to keep order. Judge Judy's voice sharpened. Order is not cruelty. Judge Judy turned to Diane. How many homeowners did you see fined and then directed toward Whitmore Property Solutions for correction? Diane took a breath. At least 6. The gallery murmured again. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed, calculating. Then she looked at Celeste with a kind of calm that was almost frightening. Miss Whitmore, Judge Judy said, This is what you are. You are a bully with a spreadsheet. Celeste flinched. Judge Judy continued. You used the HOA as a business funnel. You used violations as pressure. You used fear as currency. Celeste shook her head, sobbing. No, Judge Judy leaned forward. Yes, Celeste's attorney, now clearly regretting his entire career, stood and tried to salvage something. Your Honor, Miss Whitmore is going through a divorce, and she has been under immense financial pressure, Judge Judy snapped. Sit down. He sat. Judge Judy turned back to Celeste. Many people go through divorce without stealing and harassing disabled residents. Celeste's shoulders shook violently. Judge Judy looked down at the file, then back up. Here's what's going to happen. Celeste held her breath like a child about to be punished. Judge Judy spoke clearly. Your lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice. Celeste whispered, What? Judge Judy raised her hand. Don't. She continued. Mr. Park's ramp is not only permitted by the city, it was requested as a reasonable accommodation. Your denial and subsequent fines were improper. Celeste sobbed. Evan closed his eyes, relief flooding through him like he'd been holding his breath for months. Judge Judy wasn't done. You will reimburse Mr. Park for every HOA fine related to the ramp, Judge Judy said, and you will pay his court costs. Celeste whispered. I can't. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed. You can? You will. Evan's attorney stood. Your Honor, we also ask for damages for harassment. Judge Judy nodded. I'm considering it. Celeste's head snapped up, terrified. Judge Judy leaned forward, voice low. And Ms. Whitmore, because your actions may involve fraud, misappropriation, and discriminatory practices, I am referring this file to the appropriate authorities. Celeste's face went white. No, please. Judge Judy's voice was ice. This is why you don't walk into court and call people stupid. Celeste collapsed into sobs, hands covering her face. Judge Judy looked at Evan and his mother again, voice softening just slightly. Mrs. Park, I'm sorry you were treated this way. Mrs. Park nodded, eyes wet. Thank you. Judge Judy then turned back to Celeste for the final piece, the part Celeste didn't see coming. One more thing, Judge Judy said. Celeste looked up, shaking. What? Judge Judy lifted the voicemail transcript again and tapped it. That threat, we keep finding you until you can't afford the house, is exactly the kind of conduct that gets people removed from boards. Celeste's breathing hitched. Judge Judy's eyes locked. And according to your HOA bylaws? She paused, flipping pages. Board members can be removed for conduct detrimental to the association. Celeste whispered, You can't. Judge Judy looked at the bailiff. Bailiff, hand this to the clerk. I want it entered. And I want a copy sent to the HOA ombudsman. Celeste sat frozen, tears dripping. Judge Judy straightened the file, lifted her gavel slightly, and the courtroom braced for the final blow, because the verdict wasn't just about money anymore, it was about ending Celeste's reign. Asterisk Judge Judy brought the gavel down once clean. Controlled. Judgment for the defendant, she said. Case dismissed with prejudice. Evan exhaled like his lungs had been locked for months. Mrs. Park squeezed her son's hand, her eyes wet but steady. Celeste, on the other hand, looked like the floor had disappeared beneath her. Judge Judy didn't stop there. Mr. Park, she continued, you filed a counterclaim for reimbursement of HOA fines and costs. Ms. Ramirez stood. Yes, Your Honor. Total ramp-related fines, $3,480. Court costs, $410. Judge Judy nodded. Granted, Ms. Whitmore, you will reimburse $3,890. Celeste choked out. That's not. Judge Judy cut her off instantly. It is. Celeste's face twisted. I don't have that kind of cash. Judge Judy leaned forward. Then perhaps you shouldn't have tried to bankrupt your neighbor over a wheelchair ramp. The gallery made a low sound, half approval, half shock. Judge Judy continued. Additionally, due to the harassment, threats, and documented coercion, I am awarding Mr. Park $5,000 in damages. Celeste's head snapped up. $5,000? Judge Judy's voice sharpened. Yes, and I suggest you stop acting surprised by consequences you earned. Celeste began sobbing again, not graceful, not contained. Her mascara ran. Her hands trembled as she wiped her face and realized the cameras were still rolling and there was no way to rewind this. Judge Judy looked down at the vendor invoices and the termination letter one last time. Now, Ms. Whitmore, I want to be very clear. Celeste looked up, terrified. This court is a civil forum, Judge Judy said. I'm not sending you to jail, but I am forwarding this evidence to the appropriate agencies for review. Celeste whispered, please. Judge Judy didn't blink. No. Then she shifted her gaze laser, focus onto the part that mattered most. You denied a reasonable accommodation request. Judge Judy said. You told a disabled woman she shouldn't live there. You implied a homeowner was a safety threat because he refused to let you control him. Celeste shook her head, sobbing. I didn't mean it like that. Judge Judy's reply was quiet and brutal. You meant it enough to type it. Evan swallowed hard. Mrs. Park's hands were still folded, but her shoulders loosened for the first time all day. Judge Judy looked at Evan. Mr. Park, do you still live in the community? Yes, Evan said. For now. Judge Judy nodded. You should be able to live there peacefully. Then she looked at Diane Messer. Ms. Messer, thank you for coming forward. That's not easy. Diane's eyes glistened. I didn't want anyone else to go through what I did. Judge Judy nodded once, then turned back to Celeste, voice firm. Ms. Whitmore, you came in here today with one goal, to punish someone who didn't bow to you, Judge Judy said. You thought your HOA title made you untouchable? Celeste's lips trembled. She whispered, I'm not a bad person. Judge Judy didn't take the bait. I'm not interested in labels. I'm interested in actions. Celeste tried one last plea, voice cracking. I can resign. I'll resign. Just don't. Judge Judy leaned forward. You should have resigned the moment you started using the HOA as your personal business tool. Celeste collapsed back in her chair. Judge Judy's tone shifted slightly, less heat, more finality. Here's my advice. And it's free. Celeste looked up, shaking. If you ever walk into a courtroom again, Judge Judy said, leave your arrogance at the door. Don't insult the judge. Don't bully the other side. And don't bring a scam disguised as community standards into my courtroom. Celeste's eyes squeezed shut. Judge Judy finished, voice flat. Because paper doesn't care about your tears. Video doesn't care about your excuses. And I don't care about your attitude. Evan stood slowly, careful to help his mother adjust her chair. He didn't look at Celeste. He didn't need to. The truth had already looked at her long enough. As Evan and Mrs. Park prepared to leave, Mrs. Park paused and turned back just once. Her voice was soft, tired, but clear. I hope you get help. Celeste's sobbing stopped for a moment. Like those words hit harder than the money. Judge Judy watched them go, then looked at Celeste one final time. Court is adjourned, she said. Bringing the gavel down, the sound echoed. And Celeste sat there, trembling, realizing that for the first time in her career, she couldn't talk her way out of the record, because the record had finally talked back.